Pretti died at the scene.
And our thanks to Aaron Katursky for that. Well, local authorities say that Alex Pretti was a licensed gun owner and had a permit to carry a concealed handgun. Now his shooting is raising a lot of questions about the Second Amendment and, of course, gun rights. Joining us, our legal contributor and Hofstra professor, James Sample. So, James, in Minnesota, if you have a valid permit, you can carry a firearm. So what exactly were Alex Pretti's rights here, and does it appear that he broke any laws?
Kyra, with respect to carrying the gun that he was permitted to carry, it does not appear that Alex Pretti broke any laws. Obviously, there is the possibility outside the time frame outlined in Aaron's piece there that there may have been some other incident unrelated to the particular sequence of events that culminated in his death that, I can't speak to those scenarios. But with respect to carrying his gun, he, under Minnesota law and under the Second Amendment, and certainly Americans have long needed to have a serious conversation about the scope of gun rights in addition to the existence of gun rights. But this, with respect to the law as it is, everything that he did and everything that we have seen is consistent with his Second Amendment rights while exercising his First Amendment rights. And the one thing that I think is important to be crystal clear about in this context is this, especially given some of the comments of individuals from Homeland Security, the White House, on down. You do not lose your Second Amendment rights because you are exercising your First Amendment rights. They are not mutually exclusive. This isn't a menu where you have to choose particular items from particular categories. You have all of your constitutional rights as long as you aren't infringing on anyone else's.
Okay, so all right, let me follow up then with you. Set aside what happened to Alex Pretti for a moment, okay? Let's just put that over here for a sec. Sure. If you are a legal gun owner with a valid permit to carry, what are your responsibilities as a gun owner, especially if you are interacting with law enforcement?
Certainly your responsibility is, if you have the opportunity to do so and you are interacting with law enforcement, it is good practice to identify the fact that you are carrying a firearm for them verbally, orally. Setting aside these facts, as you say, there's nothing, however, legally speaking, that required him to do anything differently than he did. And as a legal gun owner with a permit to carry under Minnesota law, that means an individual passed a background check. It means that they passed a criminal history check. It usually means in most states that you have satisfied at least a modicum of an indication of training and proficiency. So with respect to the fact that an individual is at a protest, there's nothing specific that one needs to do because they're carrying a gun. Now, people can debate, rightly, wrongly, whether there's no question that the addition of guns on the hands of protesters or on the possession and on the body of a protester does, as a matter of simple fact, increase the likelihood that someone will be harmed by a firearm. That's simple math. On the other hand, those rights exist and they don't fall away just because it's a context of a protest.
Got it. Okay. So you've got Second Amendment proponents now pushing back against FBI Director Kash Patel after he said you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. From a legal standpoint, is he right?
I don't want to come across as partisan here, Kyra, but I'll be partisan in favor of the law. Kash Patel's statement is flat out wrong as a matter of law. And there's no doubt that Second Amendment gun rights advocates have long felt that the Second Amendment gets second-class treatment relative to other rights. That's one argument. Gun control advocates, on the other hand, have said that they believe that the Second Amendment is protected at the cost of safety. Here, we have a hybrid in which those two scenarios are jumbled and juxtaposed.
Such a great conversation. James Sample, thank you very, very much. Now joining us is Deb Fleischaker. She is former acting ICE chief of staff and Department of Homeland Security executive secretary under the Biden administration. Deb, really glad to have you on. I know you probably heard my conversation with James Sample there. Just before I start questions, what did you think of our legal conversation? Do you want to just add anything to that?
I would just say that everything made sense to me. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but and he's absolutely right that the presence of firearms increases the likelihood that somebody's going to get shot. But he was a licensed firearm carrier, and I don't see any reason why he couldn't have been carrying.
Gotcha. All right.
The agents need to understand in a state that allows for concealed carry that somebody might be carrying, and they need to be prepared to handle that.